You're tuned in to Oilers Nation every day with Tyler Yaremchuk, live every weekday on the Nation Network YouTube.
It is a double game day, a double Sherwood 4 Giant game day. Oilers, Islanders tonight, and right now, Canada taking on Belgium back at the World Cup for the first time in over 30 years. There is a lot we need to get to on today's show, including a little bit of breaking news. So let's jump into it with the lead. Full transparency, I am scrambling today. I want to watch Canada at the World Cup. I got it on right next to me. That is great. Frank Seravalli was supposed to join the show today. We had to pre-tape the interview about 30, 40 minutes ago. Since then, Ryan Reaves has been traded. That is the breaking news. We got multiple insiders, including Frank, reporting it. Ryan Reaves going from Minnesota to the New York. Oh, wow. We have another trade today, too. Holy. Ryan Reaves going from the New York Rangers to the Minnesota Wild. We're still waiting on the return there. Like I said, Friedman and Weeks are on that one. And also Connor Timmins is being traded to the Toronto Maple Leafs as well. So we've gotten a couple trades today in the NHL. Wayne Simmons also cleared waivers for the Leafs, and Magnus Hellberg's been claimed by the Detroit Red Wings. But the big news is that Ryan Reaves, who, well, you'll see it when we talk to Frank in 10 minutes, he was a potential target for the Edmonton Oilers. Someone that was talked about a little bit on yesterday's show as well when we were joined by our guy Coombsy. And I thought it was an interesting point. Bradley DM'd me on Instagram, and he pointed out, didn't Reaves and Evander Kane have like a massive beef for a couple of years? Don't they hate each other? And it was like, oh yeah, they do. That was a great point by Bradley. So I'm not sure if Reaves was maybe ever that serious of a target for the Oilers, but their rumored interest in him was probably shows you a little bit about what their strategy will be over the next couple of months as we lead up to the deadline. As always, we are coming to you live from the Sports Closet studio. We are streaming live on the Oilers Nation Facebook and the Oilers Nation Twitter, and of course, the Nation Network on YouTube. I see you all in the chat right now. Pradinsky, Dr. Gonzo, Rusty, Reed, everyone's in there, and it is a big game day for the Oilers as they'll be looking to stay above 500. They're 10-9 right now through 19 games. Game 20 tonight for Edmonton out on Long Island as they take on an Islanders team that's kind of sputtering around a little bit. Following up on this, fifth-round pick for Ryan Reaves is the deal. So a fifth-rounder for Ryan Reaves. He's going to the Minnesota Wild if you're just joining the show. Canada, Belgium, still 0-0, 3 minutes into that match as well. Jay's going to join us in a couple of minutes for a little Sherwood 4 Giant game day preview of this evening's matchup against the New York Islanders. But first, I want to get to this right off the jump. Frank Seravalli had his trade targets list go up at Daily Faceoff. He joined me earlier this morning for a quick chat on how things connect to the Oilers. So let's get into that. Yesterday on Daily Faceoff, Frank Seravalli dropped his first trade targets list of the season. It felt like Christmas morning for me. And of course, the first thing we do here at Oilers Nation is we dissect it and figure out which players could be fits for the Oilers. Frank, the first name on your list that I look at and go, that would be the dream target for the Oilers. In my opinion, it's Jonathan Toews. Is that a pipe dream or is that a realistic target for Ken Holland?
Not a pipe dream. I think a realistic target. And I think for Ken Holland and the Edmonton Oilers, ultimately at the end of the day, we've talked about this season and this team needing more punch in their bottom six, needing to get a little bit tougher, potentially maybe a piece here or there, but it's really still the center position that I think the Oilers are honed in on. And March 3rd is a long time away. You could see some changes pop up between now and then. But I think Jonathan Toews and the way that he's turned back the clock this year had a much better bounce back season. As you look at the top 5 trade targets that were on my board on Tuesday on Daily Faceoff, is that Toews is someone that has really gotten teams excited again. Think about how hard he was to play against. Think about how 8 years ago he was the talk of the Sochi Olympics in Russia as the Blackhawks were soon to become 3-time Stanley Cup champs. That he's someone that not only has the experience, but also has a little bit of edge and bite in his game that I think you could transform the Oilers lineup with him added to that group down the middle, give you so many different options if you're Jay Woodcroft. I think the big question is, would Jonathan Toews want to come to Edmonton? And it's a really interesting question. I don't know the answer to that, but I wonder if having someone like Duncan Keith in your organization to help tell you what it was like might help lay some of that groundwork at some point to give a team like the Oilers a leg up. But I could tell you, if the Oilers are interested in Jonathan Toews, that they would certainly not be alone. I think the Colorado Avalanche certainly would have their eyes set on Jonathan Toews as well, which might make for some tough competition to land a player like him, given that they won last year.
Yeah, and I mean, Taves, you mentioned his bounce back season here at the, in early October when we were just kind of talking about those two Blackhawks players. It was like, okay, Kane's going to get you a haul. And for Taves, that cap hit, considering the year he came off, I almost looked at it like Chicago's just going to try to get rid of the cap hit here, and he might get them like a second or a third round pick. But do you get the sense like the return might be significant now for Taves?
Well, significant enough that if you're the Oilers, you're in a spot where you'd certainly have to consider and weigh your futures with what you'd be getting back. But I think if you're the Blackhawks, you're sitting here going, yes, all these guys that we've sort of bet on, and not Jonathan Toews specifically being in the last year of his deal, but some other guys on our list, Andreas Athanasiou, Max Domi, they made some really smart bets to acquire some flippable assets. And Chicago, there's no doubt, is going to be one of the most active teams here as we get to March 3rd.
Vladislav Gavrikov is the next name on this list. Like I said yesterday on Oilers Nation Radio, that this Oilers team is more than one piece away. I don't think they can just add a centerman. I don't think they can just add a D-man. I think Ken Holland's got to do both. Gavrikov is the first D-man on your list that I kind of look at and go, okay, he feels like kind of Brett Kulak 2.0. Is that sort of the scouting report on Gavrikov, like a defensive D-man?
Defensive D-man probably doesn't move quite as well as Kulak. And so I agree with you stylistically that I think there's definitely room for a strong defender in Edmonton's lineup, someone that can kill plays, someone that can absorb the forecheck and not be rattled. I think that would be important. But I just wonder how they're going to make it all work cap-wise. Like, they'd have to stretch in order to try and find a way to make someone like Toews work, even at 25%. They don't have very much flexibility at all. And so that's certainly going to be a consideration that both asset-wise and salary cap-wise, they may only have one shot to take.
The next D-man on that list, Erik Karlsson. I'm not coming at this from an Oilers perspective at all, but I heard you today on Daily Faceoff Live talking about Erik Karlsson and the Leafs. There's no way, right?
Okay, so yes, I'm not absolutely crazy, but I think if you're the Leafs, the reason this all popped up is like, I was asked about it on Fan 590 on Tuesday night in Toronto, and I dismissed it totally out of hand. And I was like, this is batshit when you think about the Leafs already having 3 8-figure cap hits on their books, and people are already griping about how they have a lack of flexibility given that you've got Tavares and Matthews and Marner all with those ginormous cap hits. How could they possibly afford someone like Erik Karlsson, and how could it make sense for this team moving forward? But the realization that I came to is that if you're able to get Erik Karlsson to waive his no move, no trade to come to Toronto, and maybe someone like Jason Spezza, a close friend, could help, who works in the Leafs front office, maybe you don't have to give up anything, or likely you don't have to give up anything in return to take on all 11 and a half. So you trade maybe a couple expiring contracts from your books, pick whoever it is that you'd see fit. You can make the argument Alex Kerfoot, or that makes more sense to trade basically nothing and get someone like him in return, who's still quite clearly playing at an elite level. Man, it gets complicated. I think it's a total long shot, but I think it's at least worth going through the exercise to talk it through.
Karlsson's having, as we know, an incredible start to the year, and that's what's kind of fueling all of this. But if you were the Sharks, or if I was the Sharks, I should say, I'd be sitting there going, I almost want to wait till the summer when teams have a better idea of what their financials are. We have the answer to, is the cap going up 4.5 or not? Because if the cap jumps up 4.5, And Karlsson's coming off like a 90-point season or something crazy like that. And there are some teams with financial flexibility. Maybe you could actually get a return for him in the summer, whereas right now, like you said, you're basically just taking on a bunch of spare parts to get out of the money. If you're the Sharks, like, doesn't it make more sense to just hold them till the summer?
I don't think so. I mean, you're
Okay.
talking about a $40 million cash transaction that's off your books and the flexibility. I think if you have one team at any one moment in time, given his injury history, given the fact that he really didn't look very good the last few seasons, that you step up to the plate and you unload that contract if you can, and especially if you don't have to retain any money, because it would chew up one of your retained salary transactions. You only get 3, and it would do it for the next 4 years. Brent Burns is already locked in at 3. That doesn't leave you a lot of wiggle room, and I think there's no more valuable asset or commodity in today's NHL than cap space. And I think you'd have to just cut your losses and say, thanks for taking a chance to be a Shark.
That's a good point. Last area I want to hit on with you. It's a guy lower down your list. It's Ryan Reaves. We've heard a little bit, and you've been talking a lot over the last week about how the Oilers might be interested in adding some toughness to their lineup. And if you want toughness, well, Ryan Reaves is certainly tough. Is there a fit here between the two sides?
I could certainly see a stylistic fit. I think the bigger thing is cap wise. How do you manage it? Because remember, we were just talking about how the Oilers and their cap situation don't have a ton of flexibility. No decision can be made in a vacuum. Like, Evander Kane's coming back at some point, February, March, whatever it is. You've got to account for that money. You can't go out and spend almost half of Kane's money on Ryan Reaves. By the way, I wonder if Reaves and Kane, what that would be like, throwing those two guys in the same room, given their history. That's an interesting thing to consider. But stylistically, I could see a fit there, given what the Oilers are after. We think, at least in terms of trying to, it's not brawn, muscle, toughness, anything like that I think the Oilers are in desperate need of. I think it's being difficult to play against.
Yeah.
When you send your bottom 6 guys over the boards, that they're going to put up a fight. And I'm not talking drop the gloves fight. I'm talking be hard to play against, put some fear into the opponent. And right now, that group just doesn't do it.
Yeah, and Bradley McDonald, the listener, DM'd me last night on Twitter and was like, hey, everyone's talking about Reaves. Don't him and Kane absolutely hate each other? And it got me go like, oh, yeah, I totally forgot. That was like a pretty substantial beef in the NHL for like a significant amount of time. I don't know if they've squashed it, Frank. Like, that could almost be a non-starter. You don't want to drop that into your room. Those are two pretty like strong personalities. And if they're going to be butting heads, like, maybe you just stay away from that.
As Ben Simmons said on his return to Philadelphia, when asked if he talks to Joel Embiid still, he said, some people you just don't talk to.
No, well, fair enough. Thanksgiving coming up on your side of the border, your go-to Thanksgiving side, or what's your favorite part of the holiday?
Stuffing. I love Thanksgiving, one of my favorite holidays, but I look like mashed potatoes and gravy is a standard bearer, but I'm a big stuffing guy.
Perfect. My favorite part about American Thanksgiving is that there's NFL football on during a random Thursday up here in Canada. Go Bills. Anyways, Frank, appreciate your time today, man. We'll chat again next week. All right, there you go. There's our hit with Frank Seravalli. Yeah, obviously, since we filmed that with Frank, Ryan Reaves has been traded to the Minnesota Wild. It's a 2025 fifth-round pick going back the other way. Also, if you are not watching this Canada-Belgium game, you should have that on in the background while you're taking in this show as well. Alphonso Davies missed a penalty kick already. Canada, though, really dominating possession. It's been unreal. And I want to bring in Jay Downton. I see him waiting. Jay, how loud was our office getting as Alphonso Davies goes to take that PK?
It's buzzing. I was on a call and I couldn't hear the person I was talking to because the other side of the office is just going on fire right now.
Yeah, Caroline, Waz, Liam, they're all doing a watch along on the 90th minute Twitch for that match. Unreal. Ryan Reaves traded for a fifth-round pick in 2025. Is that a deal you would have liked to see the Oilers dig into?
Well, I was listening in this earlier between your conversation, you and Frank. Obviously, the Kane and Reaves dynamic is interesting. But ultimately, for me, it goes back to I wish we signed Nick Deslauriers in the offseason. Like, that's the guy we should have got.
And that's fair because he's at least a guy who can like kill penalties and stuff. Like Reeves just doesn't really do a whole heck of a lot outside of just being Ryan Reeves, you know?
Yeah, exactly. But like at the end of the day, with the Oilers, he'd probably play most games because we need that kind of physical deterrent to keep things, the ice open for us. But I understand like the Kane situation. We kind of might bring some weird juju into the locker room, so you got to be very mindful of that. But once again, I go back to I was beating the Delorier drum in the summer, so that was our miss. So we got to find out who the next Reeves is to come and join us.
Yeah, let's talk about the game tonight a little bit. It's a Sherwood Ford Giant here, a Sherwood Ford Giant double game day around the Nation Network as well. Edmonton taking on the New York Islanders, an Islanders team that surprisingly is 12-8 to start the year and is surprisingly scoring a lot this year, but still, this is a game I kind of look at. You know, the Islanders are starting to hit the skids a little bit. They're sputtering a little bit, I should say. In the last 2 weeks, they've lost to the Islanders, needed overtime to beat the banged up Blue Jackets. They did beat the Senators, lost to the Preds, lost to the Stars, needed OT to beat the Maple Leafs as well. And on top of that, they've been outshot in 4 straight games at 5-on-5. This is a game the Oilers absolutely must win. You don't want to fall back to 10-10. This is an opponent that I think you can beat if you play a solid game. No excuses tonight.
Well, it's American Thanksgiving tomorrow. And currently, we are outside of a playoff spot. And
That's not good.
What the old NHL math, saying is that a 75% chance of making the playoffs if you're in a playoff spot come American Thanksgiving. So, this is a must win. We're just winning this game.
Yeah. Need to. The playoff picture right now in the Pacific Division, Vegas leads the way with 31 points. LA's in second at 24 points. So here's maybe the optimistic side of that, Jay. The Oilers are 4 points back of the LA Kings with 3 games in hand on the LA Kings. They're only 3 points back of Seattle. Granted, Seattle has 1 less game played as well. But those are both teams, and we can take a look at the standings here that the Oilers aren't even on this cut line right now. But, the Oilers are right in the mix. So I get that the American Thanksgiving is an important cutoff. But I think when you look at the context of games played, strength of schedule and all of that, I'm not overly concerned. Like my Oilers might miss the playoffs panic range on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm at like a 3 right now. What are you at?
Yeah, I'm still not concerned, but the reality is we should be much higher in the standings and we're not. So there is actual issues to address and be worried about, but I'm not concerned yet.
Yeah, Jason Gregor up on Oilersnation.com right now talked a lot about the Oilers and their defensive play, saying, they give up the blue line too easily and too frequently. And actually, that was something they did a lot under Dave Tippett, Jim Playfair. When Woodcroft and Manson took over last year, it changed. Like they got more aggressive. They stepped up at the line a lot more. And now it feels like they've gone away from that. And that's what's maybe mildly concerning for me is like they did a lot of things last year under Woodcroft that I loved. That was one of them. They're playing the neutral zone was great. And it feels like this year they've reverted back to a lot of Dave Tippett-y kind of habits. And you can't just keep firing a coach. And I do think Woodcroft and Manson are still a great duo behind the bench. But it's weird that they seem to have fallen back into these old habits.
Under Woodcroft or under Keith?
What do you mean?
Well, the only thing
you think
that's
Duncan
not
Keith was a bigger
right
part of that?
Maybe. You never know, like veteran leadership. It's interesting how that takes effect. Like look at our friend Evan Bouchard. Right? It's coaching for sure, but players listen to players more than they do to coaches. It's just something it's an observation. It's an observation.
Yeah. And I think it's a fair one as well. If you want to read more about the Oilers and their defensive issues, you can go read Gregor's piece up at Oilersnation.com. Not confirmed yet on Daily Faceoff, but some are believing that it could be Jack Campbell between the pipes tonight for the Edmonton Oilers. What do you about the decision to go with Jack in net?
If the broken nose face killer, let's go. Like Sure.
Nose.
Like we got to get him going. So maybe having a broken nose makes him not get in his head too much because he's just dealing with the pain of all that, which was just crazy that happened. But yeah, I get like if Islanders, on paper maybe the easier competition to the Rangers on Saturday. So get Campbell in now, Skinner in the morning, give him time to rest up for that morning game. So you got to put him in the lineup sometimes. So I'm not like offended by it, but like, I'm hoping Jack shows up. Like I hope his save percentage starts with a 9 tonight.
Yeah, me too. And we handled this question yesterday on Oilers Nation Radio, but if it is Campbell tonight, what would make it a successful start in your opinion? I think Bag Milk said just win. I don't care how, just get the win. I said your save percentage has to start with a 9 tonight for me to call it a successful return to the crease.
Well, in reality, and I know he's got a bunch of wins and he's getting an 850 save percentage because we're scoring 6 goals, but we are playing. You saw the goals against average for the Islanders there. Like they can prevent the puck from going in the net. So I know we're high octane, but this could be a low scoring game. So this is one where he's got to stay in it, right? So if this is a 2-1 game, like his save percentage is going to be 980. Like it's just when you're playing a team like the Islanders, you can't assume that we're going to be able to score in bunches. So we have to be prepared to win a 2-1, 3-2 game. So it's going to require a bunch of saves, just like any normal game does. And this is Jack Campbell. He's our $5 million guy. So just, go get us some saves, man.
Twisted says we need Campbell after Skinner's bad goal. I think he's showing signs he needs a break. And I mean, every team needs 2 goalies. That's the way today's NHL. That's the way today's NHL works. So it's important for the Oilers to get Campbell back in the crease. Not the confirmed starter, but we are kind of expecting Campbell to get the nod tonight, even with his broken nose. Opposite him, DailyFaceoff.com has Ilya Sorokin as the likely starter tonight, and he has been tremendous this season. Probably going to be in the hunt for the Vezina Trophy. 237 goals against average, 926 save percentage. He has a shutout this year as well. The rest of the lineup for the bad guys tonight: Matt Barzal with Josh Bailey and Oliver Wahlstrom, Brock Nelson with Anders Lee and Anthony Beauvillier, John Gabriel Pajot with Cal Palmieri and Zach Parise, Casey Cizikas with Cal Clutterbuck and Matt Martin. Probably, I mean, that fourth line has played together for and they've played together for 3 years as well. I think Cal Clutterbuck
Keep your head up.
I think he became the all-time leader in hits in the NHL as well. They've only tracked that stat since 05-06. The D pairings for the Islanders: Pelech with Pulak, Romanov with Mayfield, Aho with Noah Dobson. They kind of just roll 3 pairings on that blue line, but I would imagine the Pelech and Pulak duo sees a lot of Connor McDavid. The lines tonight for the Edmonton Oilers: Connor McDavid will center Warren Foegele and Zach Hyman, Leon Draisaitl with Nugent-Hopkins and Jesse Puljujarvi. Jay, what do you make of this new look top 6?
I guess Puljujarvi played well enough physically to warrant the move. I'm still I don't know why we're giving up on Janmark, but the Foegele, I'm just processing this. Foegele on the first line. That's interesting.
Yeah, Fogel's up on the top line for tonight's game.
I see this lineup is not updated. I'm seeing my boy Mattias still on the first line here. No,
ignore that.
McLeod,
Janmark, and Kostin is the third line for the Oilers. I don't hate that. I think Janmark and Kostin.
I don't hate it. It's actually not a bad third line. It's not a bad third line. Yeah. I actually expect them to be high energy, to be honest.
McLeod's got to get going, though. He's got to start scoring for this team.
Agreed. But it's not for lack of effort. He is buzzing around the ice. It'll come. I'm not too worried. Foegele will be on the first line. Well, he's playing with Connor McDavid. Just get in front of the net and, go knock some pucks loose and get in the right areas. And, that's always a successful formula when you're playing with Connor McDavid. Puljujarvi, second line. Yeah, go around. Use that big body. Make things easier for Leon. Let Leon do the rest. I can see actually Puljujarvi scoring tonight.
Ooh, well, that's a nice tie-in to our Betway bets of the game. So let's dig into it. The Oilers are they are road dogs tonight. They're plus 105 on the money line with our friends at Betway. Are you tempted for a little road dog money line bet, or are you getting greedy? You
Already
going like
loaded up, buddy.
reverse? What are you taking?
I took, yeah. So I went. This is one of my bigger bets of the season. Oilers money line. I also saw Betway had a boost of Oilers to win with Connor to score at plus 300. That is delicious. Also smoked that. And just because I said it, I have to put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to go Puljujärvi goal, probably because Leon's going to shoot one off a skate.
Liam's not here to give us his best bets, but I would imagine he's on power play goal and empty net goal in the same match. I love taking the Oilers and McDavid at 2+ points. I love taking the Oilers minus a goal and a half. I think they have a good game tonight. A lot of people in the chat, Kylie as well, says they're happy Campbell's getting the start. I think Campbell's going to have a very solid bounce back game here tonight. First time in the crease in 13 days, I believe, for the Oilers. So I love anything Oilers in this hockey game. I like the McDavid shot prop as well. He seems to really want to rip the pill recently. I don't hate the Puljujärvi goal, but I'm going heavy on the Edmonton Oilers tonight. I think this is a matchup that they can do well in. They did a lot of things good in that New Jersey game. There was just a couple of dumb mistakes, and they didn't take advantage of the few mistakes that New Jersey made. So let's get into our Sherwood giant keys to victory for this evening, Jay. I'm going to say take advantage of their mistakes. You know, the Devils, they made 2 or 3 bad plays. The Oilers didn't score on them. Whatever. The Islanders will make more mistakes than that. They are not as complete as the Devils are. They're good defensively. They're scoring more this year than they were last year. That is all good. But they will make mistakes in their own end. Hammer those mistakes. Take advantage of them. Turn those long possessions into power plays. Kill them with the special teams. All of that stuff. But take advantage of the Islanders' mistakes because they will happen. That is my bet, or my Sherwood giant key to victory. Jay, what's yours?
I think you hit the nail on the head. The only thing I would add to that is Sorokin's a good goalie. So traffic in front of him, make his life tough, make it tough for him to see pucks, because obviously if he can see it, he can stop it. You know, this is where Fogle needs to deliver and Puljujärvi need to deliver as big bodies. Park their ass right in front of him, make it tough for him, and let those superstars around you do their thing, and they'll find the holes.
Mike's VHS says Liam's pulling a Tyler and avoiding the grind. Good for him. You can watch him on the 90th minute Twitch if you want to get in.
There.
He's grinding. He's just grinding in a different sport right now. Rusty says Soupy is due for a great game. Nuge, Hyman, Fogle, Bush are all going to have big games. I'm calling it. Twisted's key to the game is to limit turnovers in our own end. So there you go. Those are your Sherwood giant keys to victory as Edmonton gets set to take on the New York Islanders. 5:30 puck drop tonight as well. So another early one for the Oilers. Should be a good game. I'm expecting good things from the Oilers, but we are going to wrap this show up because honestly, Jay, I got my eyes on Canada.
Yeah, I know. I've got to watch this game. It's driving me crazy. I'm hearing all this cheering over there. It's excitement. I got to go over there. So go Oilers and go Canada.
Yes, go Oilers, go Canada. If you want to pick up some Canada gear ahead of their match on Sunday, that is when they take to the pitch next. Sportscloset.ca, that's where you got to go. They also have a bunch of Oilers reverse retro gear available now as well. Shout out to our friends at Sherwood Ford. Drop your Sherwood giant keys to victory in the chat before you end and leave the stream today. And also our friends at the 90th minute on Twitch. Oh, that was a great chance from Canada. Great chance. Our friends at the 90th minute on Twitch are streaming along for the game tonight as well. So enjoy it tonight.
Wrap it up. Let's go.
Yeah, okay. I'm wrapping it up. Have a good day, everybody. Enjoy the Canada match. We're out of here. We're out.